Hey guys, welcome back to the revision series. Now we are going to revise in this session the chapter quality control. So in the previous session, if you remember, we have successfully revised the chapter audit strategy, planning and program. So where we have understood, where we have revised actually the content from essay 300, we understood what is the concept of the entire planning process, what is audit strategy, what is audit plan, what is audit program. So how we are going to establish that. Even I have given you some practical examples to make you understand the concept even in a much better way. So on the same lines, we are going to revise now. We are now going to take up the next chapter, which is quality control. So this chapter is going to be once again very simple chapter, very small chapter. And in fact, in this chapter, we are going to discuss two standards. One is SQC1 and the other one is SA220. So when I say I'm revising the chapter quality control, I'm going to revise two standards, SQC1 and SA220 I'm going to talk about. First of all, let me give you a brief about this chapter, what exactly this chapter is all about. So this chapter is about, as the name itself says, quality control. So basically this chapter is going to talk about, we as a chartered accountant, the moment we qualify our CA final examination, we will become a chartered accountant, and as a chartered accountant we offer various kind of services to the society. We offer various kinds of services to the society, like we do audit, we do various other kinds of engagements. So different kinds of services we are going to offer to the society. Now, these services, whatever we are going to provide as a chartered accountants, do you think is there a requirement to maintain the quality in the work which we are delivering? Just think practically, we chartered accountants are offering different kinds of work. Do you think is there any requirement, is there any moral responsibility on us to maintain quality in whatever work we are doing? 100% yes. Why? Because as a chartered accountant, we are providing those kind of services whose output is going to be used by so many people to make their financial decisions. Like simply, if I have to put an example, we chartered accountants, we do audit. As we all know, the entire outcome, the complete outcome of the entire process of the audit is audit report. So we are going to give the audit report. Now, this audit report is going to be used by so many people to make their financial decisions. Like an example, if I have to give, a shareholder will use the audit report to make a decision whether to invest in the company or not. A banker is going to make use of the audit report to decide whether to give a loan to one particular company or not. A government is going to make use of your audit report to decide whether these particular SSC has made payment of taxes in an appropriate way or not. So whatever work we are doing, depending on that work, so many people are basing their financial decisions. They're going to take the decisions about their money on the basis of whatever opinion we are expressing. So don't you think when these many kind of stakeholders, be it government, be it bankers, be it shareholders, be it potential shareholders, creditors, debtors, whoever it is. So whoever may be that stakeholder, these many people are relying on our work to make their financial decisions. So because of this fact, there is a moral responsibility on each and every chartered accountant to maintain the quality in your work. You should not be compromising on the quality of the work. If you compromise on the quality of the work, if you don't deliver qualitative outcomes, not just 1 or 2% decisions are going to get affected. There are thousands of people's lives which are at stake. So that's why it is 100% important to maintain the quality in whatever work auditors are doing. So how to maintain that quality as a chartered accountant, that guidance has been given under standard. And in fact, that guidance regarding maintaining quality, what we chartered accountants can do, what kind of policies we have to follow, what kind of procedures we have to follow in order to maintain the quality in the work we are doing, that guidance has actually been given under two standards, SQC1 and SA220. See, first of all, I will try to explain what is the difference between SQC1 and SA220. What's the difference between SQC1 and SA220? How these two standards differ from each other? That I will spend some time to make you understand. Once we are clear with that, then we can understand the content of the standards. So before I could explain this, I have to say one more thing. As I've already told you, once you become a chartered accountant, we are going to offer different kinds of services to the society. One kind of service which we offer to the society is audit. One kind of engagement which we offer, by which we can make a living, is audit. We can provide audit services to the clients, and from that we can make a living. From that we can generate revenue. But it is wrong to say we are going to generate revenue only from audit. Audit is one of the services. Auditor can provide a portfolio of services. In that, one of the service which auditor can provide to the society and make a living is audit. Audit is not the only service which a chartered accountant will provide. There are various other engagements also which a chartered accountant can do. So auditor can also do some engagements which are called as review. Auditor sometimes will perform engagements called review. So what is the difference between audit and review is, in the audit, we verify historical financial information and we try to obtain reasonable assurance. Audit is such a kind of engagement where auditor is going to verify historical financial information and is going to obtain reasonable assurance, high level of assurance we are going to get. But review is such an engagement. Here also we are going to work on historical financial information only, but we are going to obtain limited assurance, very little amount of assurance we are going to get. So if I have to give you an example, see, listed companies will prepare quarterly financial statements also. Sir, will these quarterly financial statements also will be verified by the auditors? Yes, quarterly financial statements also will be verified by the auditor, but we don't call that engagement as audit engagement. We call it as review engagement. So audit is a much more detailed verification, whereas review is a limited verification. We don't go much deeper into the details. We do limited verification in the case of review engagement. So one kind of engagement which we chartered accountants can offer to the society is, we can do audit, we can do review. Sometimes we will not always be associated only with historical financial information. Sometimes we might be required to work on other than historical financial information. When I say other than historical financial information, that could be non-financial information also, that could be future financial information also. We not only work only on historical financial information, sometimes we are required to work on other than historical financial information. Like in some cases, a client will appoint you to only verify their internal controls and give a report. Non-financial information. They're not asking you to verify their books of accounts and financial statements. They're asking you to only verify the internal controls and give a report. So here, if we accept such engagement, we are not working on historical financial information. We are working on non-financial information. That kind of engagement, we call them as assurance engagements. Or future financial information. Sometimes the client will ask you to verify their future financial information. You might have heard, if you are into articleship, we say something called projections. So the client will come to you, ask you to sign their projections for the coming 4 or 5 years. They will estimate their financial position of the coming 4 or 5 years, and you are required to certify it. So like this, sometimes you might be required to verify with the future financial information or non-financial information when you are associating yourself with other than historical financial information. That engagement, we are going to call it as assurance engagement. And one more kind of engagement we also perform. See, sometimes as a chartered accountant, we will not only be asked to verify, sometimes the client will ask us to perform something called agreed upon procedures. Sometimes the client will ask us to perform something called what? Agreed upon procedures, which means client will ask you to do something and you are supposed to do. One example, if I have to give, the client is asking you to compile their financial statements. Some client X Limited is there, they maintain their books of accounts, but they don't know how to prepare the financial statements. They approached you are a chartered accountant. They told, sir, we have our books of accounts. From that books of accounts, you prepare the financial statements. We will pay you some fees. So here you are not doing verification. Here you are doing agreed upon procedures. So sometimes we chartered accountants might be required to perform these kind of agreed upon procedures also. These kind of engagements, we call them as related services. We call them as what? Related services, where we are going to work upon agreed upon procedures. So like this, being a chartered accountant, we don't do only audit assignment. We are going to do different kinds of engagements, like we are going to do review engagements, assurance engagements, and related services. So all these are 4 examples I have given: audit, review, assurance, related services. All these 4 we collectively call them as engagements. We are going to call them as what? Different kind of engagements which a chartered accountant can do. So now you tell me, is there a requirement to maintain the quality in only audit, or is there a requirement to maintain quality in all kinds of engagements? If I am doing audit, then also I am required to maintain quality. If I am doing review engagement, then also I am required to maintain quality. If I am doing assurance engagement, then also I am required to maintain quality. If I am providing related services, in those services also I am required to maintain quality. So how to maintain quality in all kinds of engagements? That is dealt by SQC 1. As a firm, take for example, we are an audit firm, A, B, C and Co. We are an audit firm. So we have partners of chartered accountants. So as a firm, we can do audit assignment also, we can do review assignment also, we can do assurance assignment also, we can do related services also. So whatever may be the assignment we are doing as a firm, we need to maintain quality in all kinds of engagements we are doing. And how to maintain quality for all engagements, that guidance has been given under SQC 1. So SQC 1 requirements, whatever are there, they become applicable for audit engagement also, they become applicable for review engagements also, they become applicable for assurance engagements also, they become applicable for related services also. So whatever may be the engagement you are doing, you need to comply with SQC 1, which will guide you how to maintain quality. So SQC1 operates at the firm level and it is applicable for all engagements. So then what is SA 220? SA 220 has been drafted in lines with SQC1. SA 220 has actually been a part of SQC1 only. So SA 220 talks about only how to maintain quality of audit. It is a special standard which is talking about how to maintain quality, how to control quality in the audit engagements. That only SA 220 talks about, whereas SQC1 talks about how to maintain quality in all kinds of engagements. So that's why I say SA 220 has actually been drafted in line with SQC1. It is actually a part of SQC1 only, whereas SQC scope is much wider. It is applicable for all engagements. SA 220 will become applicable only for audit engagements. Clear, everybody? So that is the difference between SQC1 and SA 220. So this difference, if you understand, now we can jump into SQC1. What does SQC1 say? What guidance it is giving? How to maintain quality in all engagements? What SA 220 is telling in order to maintain the quality in audit engagements? So both the standards are going to be more or less similar. If we understand SQC1, almost all we are done with SA 220 also. Why? Because as I have told, SA 220 has been drafted in line with SQC1 only. So whatever we see in SQC1, 90% of the content will get repeated in SA 220 as well. Clear? Right. So having said this, I will try to explain SQC1. We are going to start now SQC1. So what does SQC1 say? If you look at the title of the SQC, so SQC title is something like this: quality control for firms, quality control for all kind of firms that perform audits, reviews of historical financial information and other assurance engagements and also related services. So as I have told you, this SQC1 is going to talk about how to maintain quality, how to control quality in audit engagements also, in review engagements also, in case of other assurance engagements also, in case of related services also. So now how to maintain the quality? So what is the objective of SQC? Why SQC has been given? So SQC1 is asking the firms, the audit firms, to follow some policies and procedures. What SQC1 is telling? SQC1 is asking the firm to establish some policies and procedures which will give them reasonable assurance that whatever work that firm is doing, that is done as per standards on audit, that is done as per professional standards, whatever work they are doing, that is done as per laws and regulations, and whatever reports they have given till date, those reports are appropriate. So what does SQC1 say? If you want to maintain quality as a firm, if you want to maintain quality, you need to have a system of some policies and procedures. In your firm, you have to establish some policies and procedures. And those policies and procedures should give you confidence that by following those policies and procedures, whatever work we have done, that work is as per professional standards. Whatever work we have done, that work is as per laws and regulations, and whatever reports we have given, those are appropriate. That confidence you should get. It should not be like you have done some work and you are having sleepless nights. So for example, today if I am a chartered accountant, I have done some audit, I have signed my audit report. I should not have a sleepless night making me think that, okay, today I have signed my audit report, tomorrow I don't know which authority will come and catch me. You should not fear. So that's why in your firm, when you are doing any work, you have some policies and procedures which will give you confidence. Yes, whatever work I have done, that work is as per professional standards. Whatever work I have done, that is as per laws and regulations. Whatever report I have given, that report is appropriate. That confidence you have to get. So that is what the objective here, the same thing they say here. So SQC1 requires the firm should establish a system of quality control designed to provide it with reasonable assurance that whatever work they have done, that is as per professional standards, legal and regulatory requirements, and whatever reports you have given, those are appropriate. Now, SQC1 goes further. It says that, yes, you are required to follow some policies and procedures, and those policies and procedures are required to be implemented in 6 areas of your firm. How many areas? In 6 areas of your firm, you need to establish policies and procedures. Sir, what are those 6 areas in which the firm should maintain policies and procedures? Number 1 is regarding leadership responsibility. Why to write it unnecessarily? Here we already have. So what are the elements of system of quality control? In which areas you need to have policies and procedures? The SQC1 says in 6 areas we need to implement policies and procedures, and those 6 areas are: number 1, leadership responsibility for quality within the firm; ethical requirements; acceptance and continuation of the client relationships; human resources; engagement performance; and monitoring. So these are the 6 areas in which the firm should establish some policies and procedures. Repeat everybody along with me. What are that 6 areas? Number 1, leadership responsibility. Number 2, ethical requirements. Number 3, acceptance and continuation of the client relationships. Number 4, human resources. Number 5, engagement performance. Number 6 is monitoring. So let us try to understand about each and every area in a detailed manner. First, I'm going to start with this leadership responsibility within the firm. See, if you are a firm, for example, you are a firm ABC and Co. In your firm, 3 partners are there. Totally 3 partners are there. Along with that, some 30 staff you have. Article assistants, paid assistants, audit managers. So like that, 30 staff you have. So my firm totally contains 3 partners along with 30 staff. In my firm, 33 people are there. Now, whatever work my firm is doing, that firm should do the work in a qualitative manner. If I want to make that happen, if I want to make sure that whatever work my firm is doing, in that work quality should be there, can I assign that responsibility to everyone? Can I go and say each and every one of you will be responsible for maintaining quality? Yes, you can say that. But unless someone comes forward and takes the leadership responsibility, that purpose will not be achieved. You can't split the responsibility among everybody. Someone should come forward and take the leadership responsibility. So for this firm ABC and Co, I will take the leadership responsibility. I will become the leader of this firm. I will take the leadership responsibility. I will make sure that my firm is doing the work in a qualitative manner. So someone should come forward and take the leadership responsibility. Sir, who should come forward in the firm to take that leadership responsibility? SQC 1 says either the firm's chief executive officer or the firm's managing partner should come forward and take the leadership responsibility. For example, in this firm ABC and Co, Mr. A is the managing partner or Mr. A is the chief executive officer of this entire firm. So Mr. A, who is a managing partner, he should come forward and say, so in my firm, I will be the leader. I will make sure that every person in my firm, whatever work we are doing, they will do the work in a qualitative manner. So like that, firm's CEO or managing partner should come forward and take the leadership responsibility. And as a leader, what he should do? He should promote an internal culture. He should build a good culture in the organization. He has to communicate everybody how they have to maintain good culture, how they have to do the work in a qualitative manner, why it is very important to do the quality. So quality is essential. As a leader, you have to communicate your engagement team members, create a good culture and make them realize how important it is to maintain the quality in the engagements. So as a firm's leader, you should encourage the inner culture in your firm. And not just that, so as a managing partner, you have good leadership responsibility, but you will assign the work to your staff? No. All the work managing partner himself will not do. He will assign the work to different people in the firm. Now, the people to whom you are giving the operational responsibility, as a leader, you have come forward, but to whomever you are assigning the responsibility, you should make sure that those people who are given the responsibility, they have sufficient knowledge, they have sufficient expertise, they can understand and do the work in a proper manner. That also you have to make sure. So that is what they say here. The persons assigned with operational responsibility should have sufficient and appropriate experience, ability, and necessary authority. So as a leader, you should be supreme. In addition to that, whatever work you are allocating, to whomever you are allocating the work, your team also should be sufficient and appropriately experienced and capable. And also, as a leader, you should make sure that commercial considerations are not overriding quality. You should not be like, as a firm, you should not give importance to your commercial consideration. Whatever assignment you are accepting, fees should not be your top priority. Doing the work should be your quality, it should be your top priority. So as a leader, you should make sure that commercial considerations do not override the quality. And also, you should do proper performance evaluation, compensation, promotion designed to demonstrate firm's commitment to quality. If you are promoting some person, you should promote only those persons who are committed to that quality. If you are giving any increased compensation, if you are giving any reward, if you are giving any incentive, identify those people in the firm who are doing the work in a qualitative manner and award them compensations, award them promotions. Don't show favorism. If you are very favorable to one person, don't give priority to that. Give the recognition only to that person who has committed to quality. And also, you should devote sufficient amount of resources for development, documentation, and support of quality control policies and procedures. You should dedicate certain amount of team. You should dedicate at least 2-3 people who will continuously work on that documentation of policies and procedures, etc. So like this, someone should come forward and take the leadership responsibility for maintaining quality within the firm. So tell me guys, what is the summary of this leadership responsibility? What kind of policy should be there? Firm's managing partner or CEO should come forward and take a leadership responsibility. You should promote a good inner culture in the organization. The person to whomever you are assigning the responsibility, they should also have appropriate experience, knowledge, and capabilities. And you should make sure that commercial considerations do not override the quality. You are doing compensation, promotion, who are showing commitment to the quality, and also you should devote sufficient amount of time and resources for documentation, development, and support of policies and procedures. Okay, so that is the first area. Second area in which you need to have policies and procedures. Second area is ethical requirements. So as we all know, we have 5 ethical requirements. What are the 5 ethical requirements? Integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. Regarding these 5 ethical requirements, we'll try to understand in a deeper manner when we take up the chapter professional ethics. So, but for the time being now, there are how many ethical requirements? 5 ethical requirements are there. What are they? Integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. And you should always try to give importance for these fundamental principles. You should always give priority to that fundamental principles. Sir, how the firm can give priority? So fundamental principles should be emphasized, should be highlighted by way of actions of the leaders. Whatever the way in which the leaders are acting, they should display that ethical requirements. They should spread awareness and training. They should do monitoring whether really employees are complying with that ethical requirements or not. And in case if you find someone who is not complying with that ethical requirements, what kind of process you are following. So there are 5 ethical requirements, and these 5 ethical requirements should be highlighted by the actions of the leaders, by spreading awareness, by doing monitoring, and also you should have proper process if you find someone who is not complying with this ethical requirements. And when I am talking about ethical requirements, the most important thing is independence. The most important is what? Independence. So you should always give top priority to independence. As a chartered accountant, as a firm, whatever work you are doing, you have to do that works in an independent manner. So how you have, what kind of steps you are required to take to make sure that you are doing the work in an independent manner? 4 steps they will say. Number 1, as a firm, you have to communicate to all your engagement team members. You have to communicate to all your staff what is the importance of independence. So why we have to comply with the independence requirements? How we can be independent? What kind of actions we have to take? We have to take proper communication should happen. So as a firm, you should properly communicate with all your team the importance of independence and how to comply with the independence. Number 2, you have to identify any threats. Identify threats or relationships. Have to identify any threats or relationships that can become a threat to the independence. Like for example, one of the partner in your firm is having a relative, his brother is a CEO of one client company. So it is leading to familiarity threat. That relationship is creating a threat. So those kind of threats you have to identify. So first step, you have to communicate. Number 2, identify relationships that create threat to independence. Number 3, try to eliminate that threats or try to reduce that threats by appropriate safeguards. Try to take some actions. Think how you can reduce that threat, how you can eliminate that threat. In case if you find that threat elimination or reduction is not possible, then you have to withdraw from the engagement also. What you should do? Then you should withdraw from the engagement also. So this is what you are required to do regarding independence. So as a firm, you should communicate independence to your staff. You should identify what kind of relationships create threat. Then you should take action to eliminate those threats or reduce them. In case if you are unable to reduce them, then you have to withdraw from the engagement. And one more thing, if you any breach of independence, if anybody has done the breach of independence, that should be immediately brought to the head of the firm. And also there is one practice which will be generally followed in all the entities. At least annually, at least once in every year, the firm should obtain written confirmation. This point is very important. The firm should obtain written confirmation from its staff that they are complying with the independence requirements from all their staff, from all the firm personnel. At least once in a year, they have to get a written confirmation that they are all complying with the independence requirements. So under ethical requirements, the most importance is given to independence. And also you have to pay more attention to familiarity threat. Sir, what is familiarity threat? When you have some close relationship, when the chartered accountant, when the client and the professional. So when they are having some sort of personal relationship, that will lead to familiarity threat. And also when a firm is continuously doing one position, continuously providing some service for so long, that also will lead to familiarity threat. Take for example, there is an audit firm ABC and Co. For the last 10 years, they are only acting as an auditor for the company X Limited. They are not changing the auditor. Company is not changing the auditors. So because of this long relationships also, threat independence can be affected. This is, we call it as familiarity threat. So that's why under Companies Act, we have a concept of rotation of auditors. Under Companies Act, we have a concept of rotation. What does the concept of rotation say? If you want to appoint an individual as an auditor, you can't appoint them for more than one term of 5 consecutive years. If you want to appoint a firm as an auditor, you can't appoint the firm for more than 2 terms of 5 consecutive years. Yes or no? So these rotation requirement is also to prevent that familiarity threat only. So you have to even pay more attention for familiarity threat also. Clear? So these are the policies which you need to have regarding ethical requirements. So what we have seen, there are 5 ethical requirements. These ethical requirements should always be highlighted. You should always give more importance to independence. When I say independence, 4 steps: communication, identification, taking appropriate actions, if not possible, withdrawal. And at least annually, you have to get written confirmation from all your engagement team members. And also you have to pay more attention to familiarity threat. So this is what the second area in which you need to have some policies and procedures. Third area, acceptance and continuation of client relationships. So for example, if you are an audit firm, ABC and Co, one new client is coming. Take for example, X Limited, a new client has come and asking you to do the audit for them. Now you have to take a decision whether to accept this client relationship or not. Sometimes what will happen is ABC and Co, you are already an auditor. You are already an auditor for the client X Limited. Just now you have completed current year's audit. The client is asking for you, next year also you only act as an auditor. Now you have to take a decision whether to continue this client relationship or not. So whenever you are supposed to, whenever a client is approaching you and asking you to do some assignment for them, when he is asking you to act as an auditor or whatever, you have to take a decision whether to accept that client relationship. If it is a new client, you have to accept. If it is already a existing engagement, existing client, existing engagement, then you have to take a decision whether to continue the client relationship. Let me give you one example. Take for example, ABC and Co. There is a firm ABC and Co. First time a client X Limited, first time, you don't know this client. This client came to you and asked, sir, please act as a company auditor for us. Now you have to take a decision whether to accept it or not. Next case, ABC and Co, you are conducting company audit. You are already conducting company audit for the client X Limited. Last year, for the financial year 2023-24, for this company, you conducted company audit. For the financial year 24-25, the same company X Limited is asking you to act as a tax auditor. The same company is asking you to act as a tax auditor. So existing client only. Last year you have done some work for this client, but existing client is asking you to do new engagement. Last year you done the company audit for them. This year client is asking you to do tax audit for them. Here also you have to take a decision whether to accept this new relationship with the existing client. Now one more case, ABC and Co, a company, last year for the financial year 23-24, you have done company audit for them, for the client X Limited. Now for the financial year 24-25 also, the same company is asking you to do company audit only. So here existing client only is asking you to do existing engagement only. Existing client, existing engagement. Last year you did the company audit for the same client. In the current year, they are also asking you to do company audit only. The existing client only, they are asking you to do existing engagement. Now you have to take a decision whether I can continue that client relationship or not. So like this, whenever a client is approaching you and asking you to do some engagement for them, depending on the facts and circumstances, sometimes you have to take a decision whether to accept, sometimes you have to take a decision whether to continue. Now, how you will take that decision? Whether to accept a client relationship or whether to continue a client relationship or not, how you can decide? You will consider some factors or not. So what factors you have to consider? What kind of policies you should have? So here SQC 1 says, whenever you have to take a decision whether to accept or client relationship or not, you should consider some information like integrity of the client, its promoters and key managerial person. So how honest my clients top level management are? Are they well known for good decisions or well they known for frauds? If I came to know that one client is coming me whose top management are well known for committing frauds, will I accept the audit or will I try to stay away from that? I will try to stay away from them. So one important thing which you have to consider before taking that decision regarding acceptance and continuation of client relationship is integrity. Second one, competence. Okay, client is coming to you and asking you to do some engagement for them, but you should be able to decide whether you are capable enough. Client came, for example, I have a small office. Just imagine I have a small office. We are 2 partners. We have some 5 staff. One day Reliance Industries Limited came to me and asked me to do the audit for them. Out of excitement, I accepted. But later I will realize that I don't have enough of time and resources to complete that audit. So that's why well in advance, before you say yes to the client relationship, before that only you analyze, are you competent enough? Are you capable enough to do that engagement? And also you need to check, will you be able to comply with the ethical requirements? If you accept this client relationship, if you continue this client relationship, will you be able to comply with ethical requirements? So before you take a decision whether I can accept or continue the client relationship, these are the three factors which you have to consider: integrity of the client, competence of the engagement team, and then compliance with the ethical requirements. Now you will get a doubt, sir, you are telling I have to know about client's integrity. How I'll come to know whether my client is having integrity or not? You are telling the first factor which I have to consider is whether my client is having integrity, whether the promoters are honest, integrity in the sense honesty, whether the top level management is honest or not. Sir, how will I come to know? How can I get to know whether my client is having integrity or not? Very simple. You have to consider various things like find out what is their business reputation, what kind of reputation they have in the market, and also what kind of operations they are doing, what kind of business practices they follow. And also you should check the attitude of the client, what kind of attitude they are having. And also you should check what is their approach towards audit fees. Are they ready to pay more audit fees for the qualitative work? Are they ready to pay only less amount of fees no matter what is the output of the work? So check what is their attitude towards audit fees. And also what are they putting any inappropriate limitation on the scope? Are they restricting your work? Are they permitting you to do your work freely, or they are putting any restriction? So check that as well. And sometimes there will be indication that the client might be involved in money laundering or other criminal activities. If you came to know client has already some cases going on, better to stay away. They're not having integrity. And why they have appointed you now? Why they have not reappointed the previous auditor? Do they have any issues with the previous auditor? Check that. So by considering all these factors, you will get to know whether the client is having integrity or not. And one more factor which I have told you to consider is competence. Sir, you are asking us, before we say yes to an engagement, decide whether we are capable or not. So when deciding whether we are capable or not, what factors I will consider? To decide whether I am capable or not, what factors I will consider? Let us see. So matters that the firm considers in determining whether the firm has capabilities, competence, time and resources to undertake the engagement. Sir, what and all I have to consider to know whether I am capable or not? Number one, you have to consider whether as a firm you have knowledge of the industry, to whatever industry your client belongs. Do you have the knowledge of that industry? Do you have experience with that laws and regulations? Do you have experience with that reporting requirements? Or do you have sufficient staff? Do you have enough of team to complete that? Are experts available in case experts are required? Do you have the availability of experts? And also, did your team meet the criteria to perform the engagement? And also, will you be able to complete the engagement within the deadline? If the client has set a deadline, sir, you have to complete the audit within 1 month. Do you have the resources to complete the audit within the deadline? So you consider all these factors, then you take the decision, are you capable enough? Are you capable enough? The next one, sometimes what will happen is there will be a conflict between the firm and the client. You have accepted the audit, but client and the practitioner, client and the chartered accountant is having some sort of conflict. What you should do? If there is any conflict between the firm and the client, you should try to resolve it before accepting the engagement. As much as possible, you try to resolve it. And also you try to consider whether there are any professional and legal responsibilities. In case if any conflict happens between client and the firm, try to understand as a practitioner, do you have any professional and legal responsibilities to communicate this matter to regulatory authorities? If client and auditor both are having disagreement, find out, is there any law or regulatory requirement to communicate with the regulatory authority? In case if you are unable to resolve that issue, withdraw. If that issue is not getting resolved, that conflict is still going on, what you should do? Better option is withdraw. Don't accept the audit. Don't accept it. If you have already accepted, withdraw. Sir, if I am withdrawing, then what I should do? If you are withdrawing from the engagement, then also follow some protocol. It is not like just you are calling the client and telling, hey client, get lost, you are a dirty fellow, you are a shitty fellow, I don't want to work for you anymore. Can you do that? Is that acceptable? No. We are all professionals, right? So when we are accepting the engagement, we are so professional. When you are in case if because of unavoidable circumstances you have to withdraw from the engagement, then also follow some protocol. Sir, what protocol I have to follow? First, go and discuss with the client's management and those charged with governance. Go to the concerned person in the organization, discuss with them. Sir, these issues I am facing. Try to resolve it kindly. So first, go and have a formal discussion. In case after the formal discussion also the issue is not getting resolved, if you find it is appropriate to withdraw. Even after discussion also resolution is not happening, then withdraw. But before withdrawal, discuss with the management and those charged with governance the reasons. Sir, because of so and so reasons, I'm unable to continue, I will withdraw. Discuss the reasons with them. And in some cases, when you are withdrawing, there will be a professional, regulatory or legal requirement to communicate with the regulatory authorities. Sometimes because of legal responsibility, in case if you are withdrawing, you might be required to communicate with legal authorities. Like for example, in the case of a company, if you want to retire as an audit, if you want to withdraw from the position of auditor of a company, you have to submit one form number ADT3. So you have to submit that form. So like that, in some cases, there will be legal responsibilities to communicate with the regulatory authorities, communicate your, fulfill your requirements. And finally, whatever issues are there, whatever consultations are there, whatever conclusions are there, you have to document all that. Because of what reasons you have withdrawn, what communications you had, to whom you have reported. So all these things you have to document. So these are the few things which you need to follow regarding acceptance and continuation of client relationship. Very important thing is 3 factors you have to consider: integrity, commitment, integrity, competence, and capability. How you can get to know about integrity, how you can decide whether you are competent or not, and what if there is a conflict of interest. If you have decided to withdraw, what protocol you have to follow. So that is the third area in which you need to have some policies and procedures. Now coming to the fourth part. Fourth area in which you need to implement some policies and procedures is human resources. Human resources means your staff. Regarding your staff, you need to follow some policies and procedures. What kind of policies I need to follow? I need to have sufficient personnel with capabilities, competence, and commitment. I should recruit those kind of people who are capable, who are competent, and who are committed to quality. And also I should have proper policies in my HR area, like recruitment. At the time of recruitment, I should be recruiting only qualitative people. I should offer them enough of compensation. I should give them training. I should give them career development. I should review their work, whatever you're doing. So these kind of policies you need to have, like recruitment, compensation, training, career development, performance evaluation, and continuous professional development you have to give. If someone is doing very well, give them recognition, increases compensation, give them promotion. So that continuing professional development you have to offer. And there should be some policies and procedures where what is the role of engagement partner, that should be communicated with the client, that should be communicated with the engagement team. And engagement partner also should have appropriate capabilities, competence, and authority. The partner to whom the work is assigned, that person we called as engagement partner. We should make sure that that person is also having proper capabilities, competence, and authority, and all the responsibilities are clearly defined in the firm. What is whose responsibility, that has to be clearly defined. Clear everybody? So this is what regarding human resources. Regarding your human resources also, you need to follow some policies and procedures. Now comes the next part, most important part. Fifth area in which I need to implement some quality control policies and procedures is engagement performance. When you are actually performing any engagement, then also you need to follow some policies and procedures. So what procedures I need to perform when the engagement is actually getting performed? Number one, first thing, you have to do briefing. For example, my firm has got audit. My firm has got audit of client X Limited. So one fine day, I have to start doing the audit. I have taken 10 of my engagement team members and we went for doing the audit of X Limited. I should not be asking all my team members go and do the audit. First, I should have some discussion. Tell my engagement team members, boss, this is how we are supposed to do the work. These are our objectives for this engagement. This is how we have to comply with the standards. This is how we need to work. You have to give them training. We have to give them supervision. And during the time when they are working, even you have to review their work also. So that is the first point, briefing of engagement team. You have to brief, you have to give an introduction to your engagement team before you ask them to do the work. So discuss with them what are the objectives, discuss with them the processes, how they can comply with the standards. You have to do them proper supervision and training. And once they have done the work, you have to review their work also. Don't blindly believe, you have to review their work also. Next, in case if anyone is suffering during the course of any engagement, if there is any issue, if there is any difficult matter, there should be proper consultation happening. So if one article assistant has faced any difficulty while doing his work, he should come and consult. He should not take his own decision. There should be proper communication happening. And that communication can happen internally also or externally also. If within the firm only all the expertise, all the people having expertise are there, you can consult internally. In case if the firm is not having that much internal resources, even they can go for external consultation also. So consultations will be required in difficult or contentious matters. And these consultations can happen with individuals within or outside the firm who have special expertise. And whatever consultations you had regarding that, proper documentation also you have to maintain. So regarding engagement performance, first one, there should be proper briefing happening. Number two, consultation should happen in difficult matters. And there should be something called engagement quality control review. So now what is this engagement quality control review? Nothing but, if I have to give you example, so this firm ABC and Co has got audit of client X Limited. Now in this firm, totally 33 staff are there, but all 33 people will not work on same project. So what has happened is, Mr. A, being an engagement, he took the responsibility for this client X Limited, so he became engagement partner. Out of the remaining staff, some 10 staff he has picked. So this Mr. A, engagement partner, along with some 10 staff, these collectively has went for doing the audit of the client X Limited. Now these people, we call them as engagement team. Now this engagement team has gone and done the audit of this client X Limited. They have done audit procedures, they have obtained audit evidence just before they express the opinion. After they have done all their work, after they have gathered all the evidences, just before they express the opinion, whatever judgments this engagement team has made while doing the audit, whether they have done that judgments in a proper way, whether they did the work properly, whether they have taken proper decisions, whether they have obtained proper documentation, whether they have obtained proper consultation or not, someone should come and check this. Someone should come and check this. That review we call them as engagement quality control review. So just before, after you are done with all the work, just before you express your opinion, someone either within the firm or outside of the firm should come forward and check whether the judgments made in the audit are appropriate or not. That review should happen. That process we are going to call it as engagement quality control review. And engagement quality control review is mandatory for listed companies, not for all companies. For listed companies, engagement quality control review is mandatory. Clear, everybody? So that is what they say here. Engagement quality control review should happen. Whatever significant judgment that are made in the engagement should be reviewed by an engagement quality control reviewer. Okay. And as you could see here, engagement quality control review, this process is mandatory for all audits of financial statements of listed entities. For listed entities, it is mandatory. And also there is a guidance given in case engagement quality control review is happening for listed entities, engagement quality control reviewer should compulsorily verify these things. In the case of listed entity, the person whoever is conducting that review should compulsorily verify these things in the case of listed entities. So what basically engagement quality control reviewer will verify? Whether the firm has done the work in an independent manner or not. Did they comply with independence requirements? How they have handled the significant risk? What kind of judgments were made, especially with regard to materiality? Whether appropriate consultation has taken place or not. In case of difficult matters, proper consultation has taken place or not. And what is the effect of corrected and uncorrected misstatements? Whatever matters which are required to be communicated with those charged with governance and management, whether those matters are communicated or not, whether they have maintained proper working papers or not, whatever report they have issued, whether that report is appropriate or not. So these are the basic things which are required to be verified by engagement quality control reviewer. Clear, everybody? Now, sometimes what will happen is there will be difference of opinion between engagement partner and engagement quality control reviewer. So take this example only. In this case, for this client X Limited, Mr. A is acting as an engagement partner. Okay. Then another partner, Mr. B, he acted as a engagement quality control reviewer. This engagement team has done the audit in which Mr. A is an engagement partner, but review is done by another partner, Mr. B. Mr. A is an engagement partner, Mr. B is an engagement quality control reviewer. In 99% of the cases, what will happen is both will have common opinion, both will have common conclusion. But in some cases, what will happen is there will be a difference of opinion between engagement partner and engagement quality control reviewer. Like engagement partner is telling, depending on whatever audit we have done for this client, we will give unmodified opinion. But engagement quality control reviewer is telling, no, you have to give here modified opinion. Have to give here modified opinion. So generally 90% of the cases, both will sit together, discuss, and they will come to one mutual understanding. But in some cases, what will happen is the difference will not get resolved. This person is insisting, no, we have to give unmodified. Engagement quality control reviewer is telling modified opinion. Now what should happen? There is a deadlock here. Engagement partner is not agreeing with engagement quality control reviewer. There is a difference of opinion. Now what should be done? Now what should be done is, in that cases, the firm might have set a policy. The firm might have set a policy. So every firm will have a policy. They will draft a policy in case of conflict between engagement partner and engagement quality control reviewer, what they should do. Every firm will have a policy, follow that policy. Like take for example, this firm has set a policy that in case if there is a difference between engagement partner and engagement quality control reviewer, they will go to some another auditor, another firm. They will go to so and so firm, some XYZ Limited, and whatever that XYZ and Co, and whatever that firm says, that will be final. So like that, every firm will have one established procedure. Or some firms might have a policy that engagement quality control reviewer decision will be final. Some firms might have a policy that engagement partner decision will be final. Like that, every firm will have a policy. As per that firm's policy, this issue has to be addressed. This is important thing here. So there might be difference. See, I'm reading this. there might be difference of opinion within the engagement team, with those consultant, and between engagement partner and engagement quality control reviewer. To the extent possible, you have to resolve it. In case recommendations of engagement quality control reviewer are not accepted by the engagement partner and the matter is not resolved, the matter should be resolved by following established procedures of the firm. Every firm will have an established procedure. That procedure you have to follow. Then at the time of performing the engagement, you have to maintain proper documentation also. So we have to prepare audit file within 60 days from the date of auditor's report. So you would have performed all the engagement. So for example, in this case, we have 11 engagement team members. Every person will have some part of documentation regarding whatever work we have done. All that documentation of 11 engagement team members should be assembled in the form of one single file. There will be documentation with different people. So all that documentation should be clubbed together and assembled into one file. Sir, within what time limit that assembly process should be completed? Assembly of final audit file should be completed within 60 days from the date of auditor's report. The moment audit report has been given, from that date, within 60 days, you have to complete that assembly process. And also you have to document various matters. You have to maintain various matters like confidential. This documentation, whatever you have maintained, that should be kept confidential. That should be in the safe custody. There should be integrity over it. Accessibility and retrievability should be there. You can maintain documentation either in paper form or you can also maintain documentation in electronic form. Okay, clear? And even you have to maintain documentation regarding engagement quality control review also. In case if engagement quality control review has happened, then you should document what procedures were followed regarding engagement quality control review, whether engagement quality control review has been completed or not, has the reviewer has any unresolved matters, like if there is any conflict between partner and reviewer, what we should do. So whether you have come across those circumstances. So these matters regarding engagement quality control review also must be included in the documentation. Sir, who is the owner of that audit documentation? Auditor. The firm is the owner of that. It is a property of the firm. The documentation, the engagement documentation is going to be the property of the firm. A firm will have exclusive rights over it. They need not share even the extracts even to the client also. It is completely at their discretion. So if they want, they will share it. If they don't want, they will not share it with anybody. It is completely property of the firm. And how long those documents are required to be retained? Those documents are required to be retained in case of audit. The documentation is required to be retained for not shorter than 7 years. So you have to retain that documentation also. You should not throw it away. You have to retain that documentation for significant number of years. So these kind of policies you need to have regarding engagement performance. So what are the things we have seen here, guys? Number one, briefing of the engagement team should happen. If there is any difficult matter, consultation should take place. There should be a process called engagement quality control review. What things will be verified by the engagement quality control reviewer? What we should do if there is difference of opinion between engagement partner and engagement quality control reviewer? What kind of documentation you have to maintain? How long you have to assemble it? It is whose property and how long it should be retained. So this is the fifth area in which you need to follow some policies and procedures. Now we have the next thing here. The next area in which we need to follow some policies and procedures is monitoring. In the above 5 areas, we have implemented policies and procedures. Just implementing that policies and procedures alone will not be enough. Whatever policies we have implemented, whether they are adequate, whether they are getting practically followed, in case is there any requirement to update those update those policies and procedures, that continuous monitoring also should happen. Just by implementing policies, your responsibility is not going to come to an end. You need to what you need to do, you need to monitor also, you need to review them also. The same thing they are telling, you need to verify whether quality control policies are relevant, adequate, whether they are operating effectively, whether really they are getting applied or not, that we need to see it. And we need to do ongoing consideration. Continuously we have to evaluate the system of quality control. In case, and what we need to do, quality control of engagements has to be monitored, taking into account the following factors: whether they are appropriately designed or not. Whatever policies we have designed, are they appropriate or not? Because of any change in professional standards, are we required to update our policies and procedures? And you have to give this monitoring responsibility to one partner or other persons. Even for monitoring also, for checking also, this responsibility also you should give to someone. And you need to check whether there are any allegations against the firm. See, even after following all the policies also, if you are receiving allegations from the outsiders, that means somewhere your policies are lacking. So check whether there are any complaints or allegations against the firm, and what remedial actions the firm is taking, and what kind of deficiencies are there in the firm's quality control policies and procedures. From all these perspectives, you have to monitor also. Understood? So these are all the various areas in which you need to follow some policies and procedures. So 6 areas SQC1 has told. In those 6 areas, you need to implement policies and procedures for every engagement you are doing to make sure that you are doing that engagement in a quality manner. The next standard which we have to take up for discussion is SA 220. As I have told you, SA 220 is only talking about how to maintain quality in audit engagements. Entire standard is going to remain the same. Entire standard is going to remain the same. We can quickly wind it up in 5 minutes. SQC1, what is objective? SQC1's objective is every engagement you are doing, you should get reasonable assurance that your work done is as per professional standards, as per legal and regulatory requirements, your reports are appropriate. Then what will be objective of SA 220? Whatever audit engagement you are doing, that audit you are doing is as per professional standards, that audit you are doing as per legal and regulatory requirements, that audit report is appropriate. Same, exactly copy pasted. SQC1 they say engagement, SA 220 they say audit. Next, here also you need to implement policies and procedures in 6 areas. What 6 areas? Leadership responsibility, relevant ethical requirements, acceptance and continuation of the client relationship, assignment of engagement teams, nothing but this is something related to human resources, engagement performance and monitoring. Same 6 areas, no? Whatever SQC1 says, SA 220 also says the same thing. Now, talking about leadership responsibility, sir, who should come forward and take the leadership responsibility? At the firm level, in SQC1, I told at the firm level, either firm's managing partner or CEO should come forward and take the leadership responsibility for the entire firm. Now, at the audit level, who should come forward and take the leadership responsibility? Engagement partner. They say what? Engagement partner. At the firm level, managing partner or CEO will take the leadership responsibility. At the engagement level, at the audit engagement level, engagement partner should take the leadership responsibility. So same thing they say there, leadership responsibility of an engagement partner is to take the responsibility for overall quality on each audit engagement. And as a leader, as an engagement partner, how you can fulfill that leadership responsibility? You can fulfill that leadership responsibility by emphasizing, by highlighting the importance of quality. And you have to communicate with your engagement team members how important it is to do the work as per professional standards, how important it is to comply with the policies and procedures, whatever policies and procedures we have set at the firm level as per SQC1, why we have to comply with that. We have to highlight, and also you have to highlight why we have to issue appropriate audit report, and you should create a very good culture where everybody can raise their concerns without any trouble. And you should also highlight that quality is always important. So simple summary of this is, as an engagement partner, you should take the leadership responsibility for quality of audit, and as a leader, you have to highlight how important it is to maintain the quality, how important it is to comply with the professional standards, why they have to raise their concerns. If they face any trouble, they should be able to raise the concerns without any fear. And also you should highlight that quality is important, quality is essential. So this is how you need to fulfill leadership responsibility. Second one, relevant ethical requirements. This discussion is going to remain common. So you have to comply with 5 ethical requirements. If you come across any threat to independence, try to eliminate it. If you are unable to eliminate it, withdraw from the engagement. This we already know. Acceptance and continuation of client relationship. We have to consider various factors. I have already told you before accepting or continuing client relationship. You have to check integrity. You have to check the competence, that is capability. You have to check the compliance with ethical requirements. And one more point they add here, any matters which have arisen during previous assignment. In case if you have already worked for this client, whether any significant matters have arisen during the previous audits, that also you consider. Like for example, last year I have done company audit for the client. Current year also the same client is asking me to do the company audit. But last year the client troubled me a lot. They did not give me evidence. They made me ask a repeated number of times. Sometimes they shouted at me. If that client is coming to me in the current year and asking me to do the audit for the current year also, what I will say? I will better stay away from the audit. Sir, no thanks. I will not do your audit. So like that, one extra point they have added. In addition to the 3 factors which you will consider as per SQC1, integrity, competence and ethical requirements, you should also consider any significant matters that have arisen during previous audit assignments. Next one, you should properly assign your engagement team, nothing but your human resources. Proper team should be there. Your team should be competent. Your team should be capable. They should have knowledge of professional standards. They should comply with legal and regulatory requirements, similar to human resources. Then when the engagement is getting performed, when the audit engagement is getting performed, then also you need to follow some policies and procedures. You have to properly supervise them and review the work. And you should make sure that you are giving proper appropriate audit report. Why? Because for the audit report, ultimate responsibility will be with the engagement partner. If something goes wrong, not entire engagement team will go and sit in the jail. Engagement partner will go and sit in the jail. So that's why he has to understand that the ultimate responsibility for audit report is always going to lie on engagement partner. And you have to check whether your engagement team has maintained proper documentation or not. You should check whether they have obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence or not. And as I have told, if there is any difficult matter, whether consultation has taken place or not. So these steps you have to follow when the engagement is getting performed. And finally, monitoring you have to do same way like SQC1, whatever policies and procedures you have implemented for quality control in audit, whether those policies are complied or not, is there any requirement to update them, are there any deficiencies, this monitoring also should happen. And you should include certain things in the documentation. So as an engagement, these things also we have seen. So you should include in your documentation how you have complied with ethical requirements, have you complied with independence requirements or not, in case if any threat is there, how you have dealt with that, what factors you have considered regarding acceptance and continuation of client relationship, and regarding which matters you have taken consultation. And also, in case if engagement quality control review happened, this point we have already covered in SQC1, you have to document what procedures are performed for engagement quality control review, whether review has been completed or not, are there any unresolved matters. That's it. So these things must be included in documentation. Clear, everybody? So this is what this chapter is all about. This is what SQC1 and SA 220 is talking about. Even though for namesake we have two standards, if we understand SQC1, if we read SQC1, automatically we have read SA 220 also. Clear? That's all regarding this chapter. That's all regarding this chapter, guys. So with this, we are successfully done with SA 220 and SQC1 quality control chapter we have completed. Clear?